If you've been waiting for The Elder Scrolls 6, you're definitely not alone here. It's been nearly 7 years now since Bethesda Game Studios dropped that now infamous teaser trailer at E3 2018. Since then, fans have been clinging to every rumor, interview, and vague hint about what's next for this legendary RPG series. And at this point, it's been over a decade since Skyrim came out back in 2011, and with countless mods, re-releases, and spin-offs for this game under its belt, it's no surprise people are desperate for the next big chapter in Tamriel. Naturally, the burning questions around this game are fairly simple. When is The Elder Scrolls 6 actually going to release? Where is it going to be set? And what do we actually know about this game as of right now? The good news is that even though official information about this game is pretty scarce, there's been a steady flow of leaks, development updates, and speculation to chew on in the meantime. So let's dive into everything we know and everything fans are still hoping for about The Elder Scrolls 6 as of 2025. But before we get into it, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all the latest Elder Scrolls news. And if you're interested, consider becoming a member on the channel for early access on every video, members only content, your name in the credits, the ability to write in and have your comments featured, and access to the Discord community. Let's get the tough news out of the way right up front. Bethesda Game Studios still has not announced an official release date for The Elder Scrolls 6 as of right now, but based on the pieces of information we've gotten so far from interviews, court documents, and development timelines, we can at least sort of take an educated guess. Back in 2023, Todd Howard himself confirmed that The Elder Scrolls 6 was still deep in pre-production. At that point in time as well, Bethesda's main priority was finishing Starfield and getting it released, and only after that game was launched would they actually shift their serious resources over to The Elder Scrolls 6. And now that Starfield and its updates are mostly behind them with maybe some other expansions out there with smaller teams working on them, the studio is finally transitioning their focus to their next big project. According to Microsoft's own internal reports and statements made during the FTC hearings back in 2023, The Elder Scrolls 6 is targeting currently a release window somewhere between 2026 and 2028. Industry insiders believe 2027 might be the earliest date we could possibly get this game, but many others expect that the game's release date could possibly slip into 2028, especially considering how massive and complex Bethesda's open-world RPGs have become over the past several years. So for now, don't hold your breath for a release for this game anytime soon, but with more resources moving onto the project, progress is definitely happening behind the scenes, even if it's slower than most fans would like. Let me know down in the comments when you think The Elder Scrolls 6 will actually be released. One of the biggest debates around The Elder Scrolls 6 has been its platform availability, especially since Microsoft acquired Bethesda's parent company ZeniMax Media back in 2020. And when The Elder Scrolls 6 got its first trailer back in 2018, Bethesda was still an independent studio, which meant fans naturally expected the game to land on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, just like Skyrim did back in 2011. But all of that changed after Microsoft's purchase of Bethesda and ZeniMax Media. Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, has made it pretty clear in interviews that the future Bethesda titles will prioritize the Xbox ecosystem, including PC and Game Pass. Official documents from the Microsoft and FTC legal battle back in 2023 also specifically listed The Elder Scrolls 6 as being developed for Xbox and PC, with no mention at the time of a PlayStation release. While of course Bethesda and Xbox haven't flat out confirmed exclusivity for this game just yet, all signs point to The Elder Scrolls 6 following the same path as Starfield, which of course skipped PlayStation entirely upon release, at least so far, because there are some rumors out there of a PS5 release sometime this year for Starfield. But unless something changes dramatically, fans should expect the next Elder Scrolls installment to launch on Xbox, PC, and likely through Xbox's cloud streaming services, with PlayStation players left out on release day. Of course, we really have no idea right now, especially since this game is still a few years away from release, and this game could definitely release a year later or so on PlayStation, or maybe sooner, since Xbox's release strategy of course has already changed a lot since Starfield released. Several Xbox games have already made their way over to PlayStation consoles, and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle released on PlayStation 5 about 6 months after its initial release on Xbox and PC. There's also games like The Outer Worlds 2. The Outer Worlds 2 looks like it will release day one on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 5, so there's really no telling what they might do for The Elder Scrolls 6. My guess would be that the Starfield release strategy is probably the most likely, but their plans could always change, and change pretty quickly. Arguably the most fun topic to speculate about is where The Elder Scrolls 6 will be set at in the world of Tamriel. Bethesda has kept their lips sealed so far, but the clues that we do have fuel plenty of theories. The biggest piece of evidence remains the teaser trailer from 2018. It showcased wide rocky mountain ranges, ancient ruins, and a rugged coastline, all without giving away the specific location of this game. The most popular fan theory is that the game takes place in Hammerfell, the desert homeland of the Redguards located southwest of Skyrim. The environment shown in the teaser trailer fits Hammerfell's diverse geography, which ranges from sun-scorched deserts to sprawling coastal cities. Others believe that High Rock could be the setting, home to the Bretons, with its magical history and mountainous regions. Some even speculate we could see both Hammerfell and High Rock combined into one massive interconnected map, similar to how the Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall spanned multiple regions as well. Back in 2020, Bethesda added fuel to this fire by posting a cryptic New Year's message that highlighted Hammerfell on an in-game map, which many fans interpreted as a not-so-subtle hint about the next game's location. Since then, there have been some other small nods to Hammerfell in Starfield interviews and concept art that was leaked from a developer Pinterest board, though nothing has been outright confirmed by the studio. If the Hammerfell theory is actually true, players can expect a mix of desert environments, bustling trade cities, ancient Redguard ruins, and a culture heavily rooted in maritime tradition and swordsmanship. This could offer a fresh take compared to Skyrim's frozen north or Cyrodiil's imperial heartlands. Either way, I think we can all agree that we're super excited to see a new region in this next game. Let me know down in the comments where you think we will go in the Elder Scrolls 6. Bethesda has stayed pretty tight-lipped about details around the Elder Scrolls 6, but a few leaks and insider reports have made their way into the wild over the past couple of years. One of the most significant leaks came from the FTC vs Microsoft court case in 2023, where internal documents labeled Elder Scrolls 6 as still being in early development with a target window of 2026 or later. This was the first time an official source gave some insight into the game's timeline. Todd Howard also shared that the Elder Scrolls 6 will run on the Creation Engine 2 and will be a further upgraded version of the tech that powered Starfield. This means that players of the Elder Scrolls 6 when it releases can expect improvements to graphics, AI, procedural world generation, and overall gameplay systems. There have also been some whispers from reliable industry insiders that the Elder Scrolls 6 will feature deeper faction mechanics, building on fan-favorite groups like the Thieves Guild, Dark Brotherhood, and Fighters Guild possibly. Some reports even suggest the game will introduce dynamic cities where NPC behavior, politics, and economies evolve based on player actions and choices, creating a more reactive, living world to play through. Although Bethesda has revealed very little about the Elder Scrolls 6, Todd Howard and other developers have offered a few interesting insights in interview over the past several years. Howard has described the Elder Scrolls 6 as Bethesda's biggest and most ambitious fantasy RPG to date, one that they hope will stand alongside Skyrim in terms of the cultural impact and longevity in the community. He's emphasized the team's goal to create a game that feels timeless and capable of captivating players for a decade or more, much like Skyrim has managed to do since it released. In terms of development strategy, Howard has admitted that revealing the Elder Scrolls 6 back in 2018 was probably way too early to show off the game, but the decision came down to giving fans confidence that another chapter in the franchise was coming eventually, even if it meant that they're in for a long wait. Bethesda has also been clear that they wanted to finish Starfield first, both to give the game room to breathe and to apply lessons learned from development of that game to the next-gen Creation Engine 2 before diving fully into the Elder Scrolls 6 development. It's no secret that Elder Scrolls fans are passionate about the series, and after over a decade of modding and replaying Skyrim, they've built a pretty comprehensive wishlist for what they want to see in the next game. One of the biggest desires is for improved combat with melee, magic, and ranged attacks that feel weightier, more responsive, and more strategic than Skyrim's sometimes clunky systems. Players also want deeper role-playing mechanics, including meaningful dialogue choices, more complex character creation, and branching storylines that react to player decisions. Many fans hope to see dynamic factions with groups like the Dark Brotherhood or Mages Guild evolving over time based on how players interact with them over the questlines. Better AI is also high on the wishlist from the player base, with NPCs who feel more intelligent, reactive, and believable in their day-to-day behaviors. There's also been a lot of talk about world-building improvements in the Elder Scrolls 6, including seamless exploration with fewer loading screens, more diverse environments, and robust housing or settlement mechanics that build on what Bethesda introduced in Skyrim's Hearthfire DLC and expanded upon in Fallout 4. Let me know down in the comments what you want to see added in the Elder Scrolls 6 when it finally releases. For all of the mixed opinions surrounding Starfield, many players believe that Bethesda's experience with that game will directly benefit the Elder Scrolls 6. Starfield gave the team a chance to experiment with Creation Engine 2, refine their procedural generation tools, and work through the challenges of building complex layered worlds. The advancements in lighting, AI, quest design, and environmental storytelling seen in Starfield could all carry over and be improved upon into the Elder Scrolls 6, making it a more polished and immersive experience at launch for the player compared to some of Bethesda's other past titles. With the technical groundwork laid by Starfield, Bethesda is in a strong position to make The Elder Scrolls 6 their most ambitious and refined RPG yet. The journey to The Elder Scrolls 6 has been long, of course, and it's far from over at this point, but for fans of the series who've been patiently waiting for the next chapter, there's finally light at the end of the tunnel. Development on this game is actually ramping up now, details are starting to leak about it, and while we may not have a release date just yet, all signs point to the next era of Tamriel being bigger and bolder than ever before. Bethesda knows very well at this point that the expectations are sky high for this game. Skyrim became a gaming legend, and The Elder Scrolls 6 has to live up to that legacy, of course. It won't be easy and might even be impossible, but with the lessons learned from Starfield and the passionate fanbase fueling speculation, the future looks bright for one of gaming's most iconic franchises. So whether you're exploring the snowy peaks of Skyrim one more time, or just daydreaming about what Hammerfell has in store for us, one thing's for sure: the next great adventure in Tamriel is coming, eventually. And the big question for most of us is, will The Elder Scrolls 6 redefine the RPG genre, and will Bethesda prove that they can still deliver us a magical experience? Or will they show us that their best days are behind them? Only time will tell. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all the latest Elder Scrolls news. And if you're looking for something else to watch, click one of the videos you're seeing on screen right now. I will see you there. Also, a huge thank you to all the amazing channel members.